B Petrol 62. This is the top of my wind chime. Piece of plastic. I think it's Lexan. Lexan doesn't pull. It's softer and it doesn't pull. When you drill a hole in it, it doesn't pull up on the drill. What I did was I laid it crossways, drilled a hole in the center. I drilled, well, first before I drilled, I drew a circle on it. What that did was gave me all the holes for my strings. Anyway, then after I crossed it this way, then I crossed it the other way. I divided it in eighths. So I got 2 strings for each tube. 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, 2 here. But 4 of them, I drilled a double hole. I drilled another hole outside of it, about a 1/4 inch for this string here. Took this string. This is this construction nylon string. You don't want to get too heavy, and you don't want to get too light. One time a guy said, well, I'm going to string my tubes with, I got some real heavy stuff. If you do, you'll kill the sound of your tube. Your tube won't ring if you got too heavy of a string. And if it's too light, it won't last long, it'll break and you have to keep doing it, put it back on there. So, anyway, the hole there, 2 holes there, 2 there, 2 there, 2 there, 2 there, and then a 1/4 of the eighth of that, 1, 1, 1, and 1. That's all you got to do on one circle. Okay. Now the hole that I drilled in there is very important. It's got to be just big enough to get that string through there. I heat it. You got to heat it to cut this stuff, otherwise it'll fray. I heat it with a lighter and break it, and then I roll it up to a point. This way, it will go through there. It's stiff, and there's a stiff point on there, and it'll go through there. So if it don't, then I can take a straight pin and just push it through, pull it out the bottom, and then I just tie a knot on it. I tie a knot on the end. Well, once you melt the end of it, you got the end melted, it won't pull through that knot. It'll stay out because it's stiff. Okay? So that's all I do for the knots. Okay? This is 2 pieces of string. I cut them both the same length, then I looped them and tied them. That holds them together like that. Okay? Makes it simple. I made it as simple as possible. Okay? Then the next thing I do is I make my tubes. Okay? Here's my tubes. This is an old handrail. It's great because it's painted. If you use unpainted metal, it'll rust, which is okay. You can use copper. You can use aluminum conduit. It ain't painted, so what it'll do it will turn real gray on you. It's still good. I got one out there that's 30 years old, and about the same as this one, big one. And then when you do, here's the most important thing: you tune them. If you don't tune them, they sound like junk rattling. Do you ever hear a wind chime where it sounds like junk rattling? I made one time like that, and I didn't tune it. I gave it to my dad, and gave it back. He says, I don't want that. It just sounds like, it's annoying, it sounds like junk rattling. It don't sound like music playing, and I don't want it. All right, so I took it back. There were flat pieces of metal, like chimes, and I didn't have them tuned, so I had to retune them to make it sound like anything. Anything. The other thing about it is, when you cut a tube, when you tune it, you keep grinding it. See, I did this one on a lathe. I cut the ends of it, and you start out long, and you grind it down and cut it and cut it and cut it until your tuner. That's my chromatic tuner. That's my chromatic tuner. It does a hard job. It's hard for these things. You see that? See that? That needle goes up, and it should be right in the middle. Pretty close. And it tells you this is a C, E, E. It does give me a lot of trouble. But it's supposed to be I don't know. I think it's a E. I think it's an E. It's a little bit low, but I could have. But I did it at work, and I didn't have my tuner didn't work. Doesn't work at work. It's too noisy, and this thing just goes nuts. So I used a harmonica. And what you do, here's the other thing. When you drill your holes in there, what you do is if you don't have holes, hold it like this, right? It won't ring. Move your fingers down, starting to ring. There's a certain spot in there where it rings the best. That's why I put the holes right there. So, then you put the holes where it rings the best. Alright? You don't put them anywhere. You don't just put them anywhere. So, the other thing is, sometimes you see them cut on an angle at the bottom. Oh boy, they're going to sound like junk rattling. Because when you do that, your tuning just goes nuts. Because you got two different lengths. You got this length and you got this length. And when they vibrate, the middle is moving this way and the ends are moving the opposite way. And if you got the ends out of balance, one's lighter than the other, if you got that angle cut on there, it's going to sound bad. So don't ever buy one that's got the tubes cut on an angle. Okay? Then what you do when you put them on, when you put these on, what I like to do is put all the bottoms level. And the reason why I do that is because then your clapper can hit them all evenly. Some people center them all up. They center them. They get them just like this, and they put all of them in order like this, and they hang them that way, and then put the clapper somewhere so it hits them all the same. It don't make a lot of difference. I usually hit it at the bottom, low, and the reason why I do that is because when you got your clapper string. I'm rebuilding this. I got this one. This one is all needs to be cleaned and fixed. If you got your clapper up high, it takes a lot more wind to get it to move, to hit them. But if you got your clapper down low, it just barely swings and bing, bing, bing. It takes a lot less wind if you got it down low. So basically what I normally do is line these up at the bottom, and I put my clapper way down here. And then, depending on how long this is, the farther down you go, the easier it is for the wind to move. The higher it is, the harder it is for the wind to move. And also, the bigger this is, the more sail area you got here, the more it'll move. So this one basically moves most of the time when there's a storm coming. It takes about a 5-mile-an-hour wind or 10 to do it. I didn't want it to ring all the time because it would drive me nuts. So when they ring, they give you a warning of there's something coming. Same thing with this here. I drilled the same size hole that I drilled for this. I forgot what size, but it has to do with the diameter of the string. And if the string is, it's just got to just barely fit through there. So that when you tie a knot on the end, you just tie a knot on it, and it sits on the knot, and it won't pull out. So I got to clean this all up. I got it off the ground. It broke down and fell on the ground, and it was all dirty, so I washed this all off. This was dirty, and this was dirty. The tubes were dirty. So anyway, what I got to do, this is how long my clapper was. I don't know how long. And I just stick this through the top, through the hole, tie a knot on it. So what I'll do is once I get these on there, I'll pull the string down pull it down to where I want this tied on, and cut it off a little bit longer. This here, boy, that's rough. Boy, it's been out there. This has been out there for about. Last time I restrung it was probably 3 years ago. 4, no more than that. 10. I got to put new string on there. I put the string. That's got a hole in it. The same size hole as all the holes are all the same size. I push it through there, tie a knot on it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut the video, and I'm going to hang these up and show you how I hang them up. Okay, the next thing I did was I cut a whole bunch of strings long enough so that I could adjust them up and down. I put my tube on there, put it through the hole, and pull the tube up just to where I want it, and then tie the knot. Cut that off, burn it off. So I made long strings on it, okay? Just one thing I didn't say. When you drill the holes in this, I got 1/8 inch holes. They're kind of small and it's hard to get the string through. I think I've been going bigger, like a 3/16. This is an older one. This one's 20 years old and it still looks good because it was painted. It's binged up, but it was painted. It was a handrail, an old handrail that was taken out, so I cut it up in pieces and made a wind chime out of it. I made 100 wind chimes. Anyway, once you get through there, once you drill through that, you gotta take the sharp edges off. And I got a little deburring tool. I take the sharp edges off, and then I scraper and I scrape the corner, the top corner where it rubs. Make sure that's round on both sides. And then when you stick it through there, it wraps around that corner. It won't cut it. It won't cut the string. Otherwise, if that's sharp, the string will cut after a while, and it'll fall off. So, anyway, here's what I do. I'll see if I can get this. Let's get it first. Let's put on the shortest one. You try to match them up. Okay. You match them up with the length. If you put the shortest one opposite of the heaviest one, what will happen is your wind chime will be real heavy on one side. You know what I mean? It'll be real heavy and it might sit crooked. So here's what I do. There's my first one. Now what I'll do is I'll poke it through the hole. I think I checked all these. When you melt this, if you get one of them little strings on the end, oh, they really help you a lot. You know what I'm doing? I got the weight of this thing. Okay. Now I'll push this through there, and I'll pull this up, and I'll say, well, I don't know. This is the shortest one, so it'll probably have the most gap here. So I'll take it, and I'm about to tie about 2.5 inches on there. Something like that. Okay? Okay, that's my first one. The shortest one. Now, the second shortest one will go the opposite. You want them, the closer the length they are, opposites. So if you got 8, when I put 8 of them on there, sometime I got 8 of these things on there, all tuned in certain keys, that you put the next one to it opposite. And the reason why is so that it don't hang like this, where it's out of whack. So I'll take the next one, see if I can do this real quick. I don't want to make this video too long, but I can look down in there and I can see the hole. And they usually don't take long to get them through there, you know. But that's why I said I've gone to a bigger hole, which don't mean nothing as far as the sound goes. Okay? Okay. I got this one. Now this one will be right opposite, so it'll be the hole opposite. Maybe I'll hold it like this. Most of the time I lay them on the table. But this one here is so big that getting away on me. It's so big that it's hard to, if I had fatter legs I could grab that tube tighter. Okay, here we go, here we go. Okay, now, let's line up the bottoms halfway decent, you know. 2. Okay, so I'm gonna put it right about there. I need a knot right there. That's my next one. All right. Now I'm not going to do all. I'll go ahead and do the other 2 by and then cut the video so that's not so long. Show you what I'm gonna do next and how I do the clapper. All right. Okay, I got them all tied on. Now the next thing I'm going to do, see all these are different lengths because depending on where you want that, the line, I've got the bottoms mostly all lined up. Then you take these off, see? What you do is you get them hot, break them off, and then you'll kind of wad it up. And it makes a little ball on the end where it won't pull through the knot. Like that. Okay? Trying to do this fast so I don't get too long of a video. Okay. And then if you got one, let's say you got one that wants to come untied. Let's say that one there wants to come untied. What you do is you just go like this and heat that sucker up. Heat the end of it. If there's a little piece sticking out like that, see that little ball there? It was a point, now it's a ball. See that? There's some, that's the point that I shoved through. Actually I shoved this one through, but that's a point that I tied a knot. I make a point on both ends, so one end usually is better than the other. Okay, now they're all through there. Okay, I had to hang this up higher. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a string for my clapper. So what I'm going to do is go, okay, I want my clapper. But if you hang it down too far, only every little breeze will make it ring and it might get on your nerves. So I hang it down just about, probably that far would probably be good. Okay? And that's what I do with my, okay. That's my clapper string. I'll tie a knot on it and pull it through. Okay. Okay, the next thing I'll do is tie this on. Find out where it hits them. Hits them all. You gotta make sure you hit them all. They're not level. Okay, that don't matter. The short one is up. Okay, so I'll tie a knot right there. That's where I want my clapper to be. Up high. Up pretty high, so that... Yeah, it's a little high. I could lower it down if I untie this. I'll lower it down a little bit. Okay, that's better. And then, depending on how much wind you get, if the longer you make it, the more it don't take hardly anything to move. The other thing is, how heavy is this? Is how loud it is. And also, how far away. You don't want to get it too close to these, otherwise it'll do this. Hear that? I guess that's not too bad. So I got them about a ½ inch apart from there. So depending on how far apart they are here depends on also how big that is. I've never made two of them the same. I made 100 of them and there was no two alike. I just start making them and putting them together. Then I do the same thing with this. That hole, all those holes are the same size. And it's just a real small hole. I think it's a 1/16. And I'll put this on there. Tie a knot on the end of it, just like I do every one of them. And then, there it is. It's ready to go back outside. So I hope I covered everything. This is thin. This is 1/8 of an inch. I've used plexiglass. I've used polycarbonate. Any junk you can find. I've used stainless steel. I've used aluminum, 16 gauge aluminum. And you can pick any kind of a pattern, any kind of a shape. You can put your initials on there. You can put anything you want on the bottom of here as a wind catcher. That's your wind catcher. Like I say, the longer you bring that down, the less wind it takes to move. And it also has to do with how far apart your gap is whenever you're make this round piece. The round piece, it don't have to be perfectly round. It can be octagon. It can be just, I just draw a circle and grind it around with a grinder, and also what I did was I rounded the corners off of it. If you don't round these corners off, it could dent and take the paint off and ding it. So you want the clapper to hit in the middle. A round clapper is better than a square. Flat clapper is not good because it will actually dent the aluminum. Okay. So I think I'm about done with that. I don't normally show people my cowbells. I make those. I used to make them. That's a D. And that is a F. B Petrol 62 reporting for making your own musical instruments. You know that? You ever think about that? Make your own instruments. This will be channel 62. Channel 62.